There's one thing that's so key to everything that I'm trying to share. You can see that I'm up close. I actually ended one of my videos very up close like this. So I'm kind of picking up from that up close place. What I realize is it's so difficult and so hard for people to, first of all, understand what is this. What do you mean when you say your greater presence? What do you mean by being the circle to something? What do you? And I've talked a lot, I've shown my whole body, I've used objects to try to tell stories, to illustrate when you bring in. So I've gathered some things. I've gathered objects that are going to take me into a feeling. So I've gathered objects. I'm not going to show you them what they are, because I don't want you to think about the objects. I don't want you to, well, what would I do with that object? But in a way, these objects are going to take me into a particular feeling. Now, if I were a client, they would be gathering these objects in order to let that feeling come into their body and for them to let it move, almost like a plume of smoke going all through their whole body and out, as if they sink down and then they rise up. So these objects, when I use the word soul medicine and gathering your soul medicine, these objects, which can be garbage, trash, broken sticks, rocks, they are the soul medicine. In a way, it's like homeopathic medicine. They allow you to connect with an energy pattern that is sort of the disease pattern, and by you choosing to bring it in and to let it moves the old pattern out. And so they are your soul medicine. Your own disowned energies are ultimately your own soul medicine. And what I'm trying I'm close to the camera because I want you to see the subtleties, not the big forms of when I move my body like a statue. I want to see if I can capture the subtlety of it in my face, because then you can see that it is energetic, and that I want to show also that if you resist the energy, somehow or another it owns you. If you are the circle to it, which means you're breathing and relaxed, then in a sense you're owning it, and something else happens. And I want to somehow, just using my face, see if I can get you to experience this, to know this. That's my whole point here. I want people to know what it is to be the circle, to be compassionate, to be self-love. What is the true action of self-love? That's what I'm trying to make visible in a completely different way, by moving closer to you. I don't know if it'll work. I'm also out here in direct sunlight, looking right into the sun almost, so I mean, the eyes are very important. But the real key here is what do I mean by these emotional charges? Emotions being energy in motion, and that they're very subtle, like whole body feelings of sensation that you can see in subtle shifts and changes just in a person's face. And what you do with your face can, in a way, cancel that out. So a person that smiles can cancel the movement completely out, or a person that's stiff and sober, nothing happens. So we'll see what happens. It's I keep trying to challenge myself as I'm challenging you. Challenge myself to explore, to explain in different ways, to expose myself as I'm asking you to expose yourself. So, okay. I'm going to pick up, and I'm going to use the word why. Each time I sort of invoke the energy, I'm going to use the word why. And I'll probably keep it within a fairly narrow range. What we'll see. Why? Why? Now I'm taking the same object and I'm doing something different with it. I'm doing something different with it. Why? 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 Now I'm going to do something else with it. Why? Why? Okay. So, I'm going to show you what they were. It's a hinge. And the first time on why, it was open. The second time, I closed it. I closed it. Why? The third time, I put this shattered glass and closed it on that. This is the warrior. So that energy of them comes in. Good at holding a boundary. Don't mess with me. Why? But when it has this inside of it, it's a little more aggressive. It's got a little bit more to protect. And you can see it. And it doesn't want anything to do with the fragile inside of it. It doesn't want anything to do with being shattered at some time. So it's totally clamped down around it. So that it's clamped down around, as you can see in my face and my voice, is owning it. In the rejection of shattered, the clamp down has to clamp down harder, and that hardness then comes out into the world. So the warrior cuts off from emotion and creates that hard exterior. But they're clamped down around this. Pain, hurt, shattered. So what I showed you was the warrior being owned by it. His real true pain would be where you allowed this to integrate with this, the two. So that why would have a much more explosive, painful feeling to it. I'm not going to scream into the camera right now, though, because I want to keep this on a subtle level. And I'm not really trying to distinguish here between the warrior and the victim. Okay, shattered now. I showed you it. Why? Why? Now I'm going to resist it. Why? 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 I'm tensing around it. I'm not breathing. Now I'm going to bring it back in. Why? But I'm going to relax around it. Why? 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 So in my relaxing around it, it lets it go everywhere. Something happens in the awareness of the people, because they're contacting that shattered energy, but as something greater, relaxed breathing, and it's like that plume of smoke. But when they resist it, when they suppress it, when they hate it, now it owns them and intensifies their suffering. And that's what you would probably, that's what you see. As I resist and tense, it intensifies it. It makes it worse, and in its worseness, it actually stays more stuck. So both the warrior and the victim are owned in completely different ways by the victim energies of weakness and powerlessness. I'm going to take something else now. Why? Why? Now I'm going to resist it. Why? Why? I let it go. I'll bring it back in. Why? 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 Let it go everywhere in my body. Breathe. Relax. I'm the circle around it. Why? As if the core of that person were this. Which, you know, you could pick this up and it might mean something else to you. Or it might give you something else. That's really not the point. That's why I'm not showing you these first, because I don't want to play that game. But these are soul medicine, okay? Your dirty dishes, if you don't want to wash them, that's soul medicine, okay? Okay. I did that one. All right. Why? Why? Now I'm going to resist it. Why? 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 For me, this is a stake driven in the back by one you love. So I went through all those phases again, resistance, okay? Now what you'll see is that in the resistance, in order for me to get somebody to move something, that may need to be the vibration that I need to bring in. That's where I have a form, and then I use a word like why, but it has a certain intent, direction, intensity, volume, etc. to hit that note. But in its sort of calm, subtle aspects, what I'm really trying to show you here is what that would be in that case is that that person is in a complex state, and part of the complexity is the resistance. And we have to honor that as well. Let's just do a couple more here. Why? 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 Okay, there's already a kind of little tension that wants to be in this one. And if I relax, what's underneath that why is the opposite. So that I brought in was just my protection. Protecting myself. Okay, so now I've connected with what I was trying to protect by using this soul medicine to get there. So I relax around that. Why? That's the victim again. Relax, breathing, letting the energy go everywhere, all around me, through me. That's being the circle. It lets it move. That's the true action of self-love. All the energies get to be honored, loved, liberated, liberated, liberated. I'm going to do something else with this. Why? 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 Okay, again, that's another one where the tension's coming in with it. Almost like the tension's a protection. But this time, rather than the energy going out, it's going in. Rather than this going out, it's going in against them. So it's a very complicated thing that you have to connect with very specifically, energetically in it. And the other ones, I had to bring the resistance in. That creates different levels of intensity within either the warrior or the victim. But you should be picking up on little subtle shifts and changes just in the energy around my face and eyes. Now let's say, just as an illustration of how powerful our faces are, that this is actually what I'm feeling, okay? I'm feeling that. It's like I could tear your eyes out, okay? But I'm going to smile. How you doing today, huh? Yeah? Doing all right. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you're doing all right. I'm really glad that you're doing all right. Oh yeah, okay. Now this person is very disconnected from the other one, but you can see it has a lot of aggression in it. Now let's pick this one. How are you today? Why? So this is the one that smiles on top of the victim. They're always kind of peaceful. They bring peace into the room. But they disconnect from everything. That smile disconnects from everything. So you always want to kind of go back to neutral. Neutral. I don't want to end with just that kind of a feeling, so I'm going to bring in another feeling here. Why? 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 I'm not going to push it. I'm just going to let it be there. Why? Ah. Here's my friend, okay? People can even suppress and reject that. If you suppress and reject the others, that gets thrown out too. You narrow everything down to this very narrow range of expression. It's visible in a person's energy, voice, face, physical expression. So when you gather these things to allow you to connect, feel subtle energies, you let them move, it's your music you're freeing. It's the music of your soul you are freeing. You are freeing it. But just so you know, again, the energies can be very subtle. And you are, rather than when they own you, it means tension, no breathing, and a lot of thinking. When you own them, you give up believing in the thinking, you let your body relax and you breathe. That begins to establish you as the presence of who you are, as the circle, and it is the true action of self-love. Why?